What's up, everyone? My name is William, and today we're going to be going over the Arpeggiator MIDI effect. So first of all, I just have set up a new project here, and I've made an instrument track, and I put an EXS24 Steinway grand piano. You just go here, click on EXS24, and then we can go here and choose our factory presets, acoustic pianos, and Steinway grand piano too, if you want to use the same exact preset that I'm using. Next, I recorded some MIDI into Logic. I recorded a basic C major chord, so we have a C note, an E note, and a G note here. And let's just jump right into it. So first of all, this is what our chord sounds like with no effects. This is just the preset that we have from the EXS24. Okay, so it sounds pretty good. Now, we're going to go over to this box right here where it says MIDI effects, and we're going to click on it, and then we have all of our MIDI effects here. So for this video, we're going to be going over the Arpeggiator MIDI effect. So we just click on the Arpeggiator, and the next thing you know, it opens up this window for the Arpeggiator MIDI effect. So right off the bat, without touching anything, if I play this, it's going to be arpeggiating already. So let's just listen to what that sounds like. So as you can see, it's going very fast, and it's going from the bottom note up to the top. It's going C, E, G. So that's because of the parameters that we have set right here. So first of all, this parameter right here, it's the rate of how fast it's going to be arpeggiating. This is one of the most important parameters when it comes to working with the Arpeggiator MIDI effect. So right now it's on 1/16, so I'm going to turn it down to eighth notes to get it a little bit slower, and let's hear what that sounds like now. So it's much slower. It's half the speed that it was at. And of course, these eighth notes and 16th notes are syncing to our BPM up here, which is 120 at the moment. Next, we have these 6 buttons, which determines the note order it plays the notes. So first of all, we have this upwards arrow, which it's playing from the lowest note to the highest note. So it's going to play from C to E to G and repeat. So we have this effect. Next is the downwards one, which is the exact opposite. It's going to play from the top down, so it's going to play the G, and then the E, and then the C, and it's going to repeat that. Then next what we have is it's going to go up from C to E to G, and then it's going to go back down from G to E to C. So it's going to have this kind of up and down feeling to it. Next, we have the outwards in, which it'll play the outer notes and then the inner notes of the chords that we have. So if we had more notes, it'd be a better example, but this is what it sounds like with our C major chord here. Next, the next button is a randomizer button, so it'll play the notes randomly. It'll just do it at once. Just completely randomizes the arpeggiation. And then next is hold, which it plays the notes depending on which note is hit first. And since the notes are hit in the order that the chord is, it's going to be C, E, G for this. Whereas if I put it like this, it's going to be E, C, G. So that's something to keep in mind for that last one there. I'm going to set it back up to the upwards cycle range. Next, we have these 2 dials here, or these 2 faders. One is a variation slider, and then the other is an octave range slider. So variation, what that does is it just adds complexity to how the arpeggiation, or what's happening with the arpeggiation. So at 1, we have the default C, E, G there, and if we turn it up to 4, just so we can hear a bigger difference, we have it varies it up a little bit. And combining this variation slider with the different note orders here, we can have some really cool effects with that. Next, we have this octave range slider. And what this is, it determines how many octaves we want to be in this arpeggiation. So having it on the default of 1, it's just going to play these 3 notes. Whereas if we put it up to, say, 2, it would then include an octave, or a second octave with these 3 notes. So here's what that sounds like. And then so on, 3 octaves, 4 octaves. And again, combining these sliders with the different note orders, we can get some really cool effects. Next, real quick, we have this pattern box here, which live, it determines the pattern based on what you've played. So you can see the 3 notes that are hit. Whereas grid, we can actually determine how hard or soft we want the 3 notes to be played. So you can have different velocities and things like that on the different notes. I'm going to go back to live though, just so it's the default. And lastly, the last thing we're going to go over is this options panel. So in this options panel, we have some control over how the notes are. We have control over the note length of the arpeggiation, and we can also randomize it a little bit if we want to make it sound a little bit more human. Next, we have the velocity, whether we want it to be 100% of what is played or etc. And we also have a randomizer knob for that if we want to make it feel a little bit more human and a little less robotic, give it some different velocities. Next, we have a swing knob, which will add some swing to the arpeggiation or not, depending on what percentage we put that at. And then also we have cycle length, which it determines the length of the arpeggiation loop that's going to be happening. And as played, it just plays it like it is in the MIDI. Whereas if we had it to these grid settings, it'll determine based on the grid. So for example, if we had it set to 1, all it's going to do is play the first note and repeat. So we just have that C note, whereas if we put it to 2, it'll have the first 2 notes and keep repeating. And so on. So that's something to keep in mind. You can get some cool effects with that. But all in all, that about sums up the Arpeggiator MIDI effect. Those are the main parameters of it to really get some cool effects out of it. And of course, you can use this MIDI effect with any instrument track. It doesn't have to be a piano or anything. It can be any kind of instrument. But I hope you learned something from this video. Thanks for watching. My name's William, and I hope you enjoyed.